So we're here at Nicky Henderson's Seven Barrow stable, post-Cheltenham, a very good Cheltenham, I would suggest, Nicky. Some excellent performances by many of your stars. And the circus moves on to Aintree this week. And once again, you've got some of your big stars on display. None bigger than Constitution Hill, which everyone is looking forward to seeing run at Liverpool, a meeting that he's won at before. How is Constitution Hill?
No, things have gone well. I mean, I was thinking after Cheltenham, the obvious thing to do was wait to Punchestown and go and have a rematch with poor old State Man. But as it was, especially, we both finished up on the floor, which was so disappointing. I mean, it was disappointing from everybody's point of view. And the race was, to all intents, well, from our purpose anyway, it was very, very disappointing. But there you go. That's jump racing for you. But then he seemed to be coming out, that he had come out of that really well. So really couldn't resist it. You've got a race of this value sitting here, 2.5 miles. He's only been 2.5 once, which was in this race 2 years ago. You just couldn't really leave it out. Now, having said that, the opposition is going to be ferocious because it's not exactly just what we thought as well, because Lossiemouth seems to be following the same course. They seem to be following each other round the country this year, although she didn't run in the Champion, but she was so impressive in the mares. It was just a doddle for her. And you'd have to be pretty sure that she's coming back in the really good form. I suppose my one worry might be that 2.5, I would have to say, of all his performances so far in his life, the one in this race 2 years ago was probably the least impressive. Possibly he was doing too much too soon. I think we've got to be at pains just to try and switch him off a little bit more. But he's been good. We've done a lot of schooling since Cheltenham. He's been jumping, and I hope we'll iron out that little sort of rush of blood, I think you could call it, that comes to his head when he wants to go and attack a hurdle, just for the fun of it. And, you know, you can't afford to do it because he gets too brave and too carried away with it all, and I think he'll be nice and sensible here. I hope he will.
And you're telling me that you've done something different with Constitution Hill regarding schooling this time around?
Well, not different. I mean, he's been loose schooling,
yeah,
which is technically different, yeah. It's only doing exactly what you would be doing with a jockey on it, without a jockey on it.
And the reason for that was just to get him to concentrate,
No, it makes them think for themselves so that there's nobody else telling them what to do. So he's got to work it out for himself. And you can jump an awful lot of obstacles doing that. They're just going round and round. Jump about telegraph poles, so they're quite substantial obstacles. And they get at related distances, so that's an in and an out, and we can change the stride pattern to it. So he's got to keep thinking. And I think he has. I think it's worked quite well.
And on the Thursday, you've got another couple of entries from stars from Cheltenham, 2 winners actually, well, 1 winner, 1 second in JANGO BAIE and Lulamba, who both are entered on Thursday. They might be entered elsewhere as well, I hear, but they're going to Liverpool.
Well, they are. JANGO BAIE, I mean, there we go. He won the Arkle. He won it mainly because Sergino wasn't there, and therefore there was room to switch one in. I'm pretty sure JANGO BAIE is 2.5 mile ideal, but we dropped him into the Arkle, and it looked like that was a mistake. He just couldn't go the pace with them early on, and he was way out of it. But then I suppose once they get to the bottom of the hill and you hit the rising ground, stamina kicks in. He kicked off, and it was the most extraordinary thing. I mean, I do remember Champ doing something like that with Barry Geraghty quite a few years ago. And he's the only other horse that a lot of people can actually remember that came from such a ridiculously impossible position. It really was extraordinary. And that's sort of sealed his season for him. But he's got to go again. Why shouldn't he? The opportunity is here because there's a 2.5 and there's a 3. He's in both. So are a lot of the horses. I'd be leaning towards the 2.5 at the moment, and that would be on Thursday. and there's a 3 miler on Friday. I think probably 2.5's enough. I'd be interested to go 3 miles, only because it would tell us where to start next season. You know, if you went and got 3 miles around here, well, you know what we'd be doing next year, and it would be easy if you're stuck in the 2.5 mile pocket. Your options aren't quite so easy. But let's see anyway. I suspect it'll be 2.5.
And the 4-year-old Lulamba ran such a fine race in the Triumph. Straight after the race, I think you were suggesting that you might put him away, but he's come back home in really good form, so he'll take his chance as well.
Yeah, you'd certainly have said, okay, enough's enough. But having said that, he's only had 2 runs, so it seemed a bit premature to be chucking him out. Particularly, I was away for the first couple of days of the next week, and Charlie was saying to me, this horse is so fresh, you've got to go again. And yeah, he is. He's been terrific all the way through the last 3-week prep time, and he's just fresh and well, and he's a very happy horse. He's so straightforward. He's lovely. I mean, he wants looking after, mind you, so it's a bit... I have just done one thing. I just looked at it and thought... I was always thinking throughout the last few things, if East India Doc was in this race, I'd be very, very respectful for him, because I think we'd got the better of him halfway up the run in Cheltenham, because we needed the hill to help us do that. Then, unfortunately, the Irish horses come on the other side, so it was I mean, Nico or Lulamba, neither of them had a chance to see it was there. And then suddenly, when East India's finally dropping away in the last 50 yards, all of a sudden there's another horse that's actually gone and nabbed us. And he didn't have time to reply. I think if it had been another 200 yards, we'd have got back. But anyway, he's well. The track just worries me a little bit. So I have put him in the 2.5 on Saturday as well. It is a possibility.
And a horse that we also know loves Aintree is JONBON. How's he come back? Was it a hard race he had at Cheltenham or not, really?
Yeah, possibly it was. They were going flat out. He couldn't get to the front. He couldn't get to on his front foot. He wasn't fast enough. But it was actually the fact that he started the first 10 yards of the straight with his head in the air going backwards, because the tape had come back across his face. And I fear it was just, yeah, I mean, we won't go into it. The starts were not good, and that one was appalling. And unfortunately, he was the sufferer. Now then, we've got to, but he'll be fine. That's not going to get repeated, one assumes. And he goes up to 2.5. Well, if that was too quick for him, at least it's going to stay. It's not too quick for him. I mean, we've all seen him run Sandown and Ascot over 2 miles. He is blistering. Most horses can't go his gallop. And yet at Cheltenham, he couldn't go their gallop because it all happened at the start. Then he made that terrible mistake. So then at the end of the day, he probably has had a hard race. But JONBON is quite good with races and returning. And that's the last 2 years. Actually, last year it wasn't, because he didn't run at Cheltenham, but he's come into the Sandown race the year before on a 9-day turnaround. And let's face it, the turnaround from the Schlur Chase to the Tingle Creek is only just on 3 weeks. So he's quite used to that. He's hardy now.
And let's look at a few of the other horses you have running at the festival. Some of the handicaps maybe. Impostoir ran a very good race at Cheltenham.
He did, and he'd come into the 2.5 here. He did. We put cheap pieces on him at Cheltenham. Nico said they helped him in the first mile to hold his pace, and then he saw a bit of daylight coming down the hill, he took off. And consequently, he was doing too much too soon. The dilemma is whether to leave them on or take them off, because it'll be they'll probably go even quicker around here. So that's a decision to be made. He's in good form, or as good a form as you can tell. He's not somebody that gets up in the morning and wants to shine. I think he was very moderate.
And Fantastic Lady pulled up at the King Muir, but you're aiming to run her at Aintree.
Well, she loves Aintree. She's been second and 5th, I think, in the Topham before. We've always talked about the Grand National. She's still in there. She just could squeeze in. The dilemma again is Grand National's on Saturday, and the Topham's on Friday. But you can't. You've got to declare for the Topham before you know whether you're in or out, or maybe in or out of the National. So we'll have a bit of a dilemma on declaration morning. Well, declaration for the Topham morning. I quite like to see her in the National. Joss Hambry would too, really, I think. And even if Mrs. Hambry doesn't.
And in the Grade 1 Novice on the Friday, you've won it before. Calafay Involves looks a really improving novice this season. Takes his chance.
He does. We've always had our eye on this race. He won the Sydney Banks at Huntingdon, which was great, 2.5 miles. Certainly gets that well. It was a good performance, and I'm pretty sure he wants further. So we'd always kept. We didn't go to Cheltenham, and he's not ready. But he's quite a baby yet, and always thought this would be the obvious place for him. It does look a good race for him. I mean, on ratings, certainly of the English horses, he's the highest rated. We haven't got the ratings for a lot of those Irish competitors, but he's quite. Sort of, he's got quite a high mark, and it takes him to the top of the pile there. We might just have a look at Holloway Queen as well. Over 3 miles, she got beaten the last time over 2.5. This would be faster ground than she would have seen before, but she just did a very, very nice piece of work on Saturday. And I think we got to go somewhere, and I wasn't sure where it was. There was nowhere else, and I hope this ground at Aintree is going to be probably better than anywhere else. I know John Pullen's probably pulling his hair out in trying to get enough water on, whereas the good bit of luck for him, I think, is that there is no rain forecast, in which case he hasn't got to worry about a sudden deluge making it a right mess, which is always the headache that clerks, of course, worry about, that you water, then you get rain, and then you get heavy ground, oh blimey. So he hasn't got that worry. He can afford to throw it on. And I'm sure he will, because everybody wants it to be safe. And therefore, I think it will be better than anywhere else. A lot of these courses have been raced on quite a lot when it was soft, and consequently, they're a bit short of grass until it grows. And I'm pretty sure Aintree will be lovely fresh ground.
So, Nicky, you've got Excello in the Topham. Hopefully he'll get in there. Has run some really good races over the years.
Yeah, I like this one. I mean, I do hope he gets in, because I think he's got a terrific chance. He's been good. One or two things. We've had a slightly lean patch. His last run at Sandown was excellent. He was up there making the running and jumping, and really enjoyed himself. And the Topham came to both Nico's and my head very quickly. As a race he could enjoy, and when we schooled him the other day over those fences, he was something else. So good. And I'd love him to get in. Now, he might not, in which case he would then switch to 3-mile handicap on Saturday. It'd be more fun to go Topham, I must admit, but, might put some cheek pieces on him. He could be some ride for whoever's going to ride. I mean, I'm sure Nico would ride him, because this is something that anybody would want to ride. He's got the right attitude to it. He's quite laid back about it all.
And a horse that many people will remember from Cheltenham. You're 1-2 in the Pertemps. Maybe people that listen to this channel would have backed the winner, because you're a big fan of Doddy the Great. But you're also a big fan of Jericho de Repene, who finished runner-up on that occasion. He hopefully will go one better for you at Liverpool.
I think he can do. Track would, again, he's one of these horses that doesn't like being crowded up. He's better with his own space. Not going to be an easy thing to do round here. There's never any space. They're all just, it's so tight that you get a big field and they'd be on top of each other. There'd be no hiding place. Well, there will be. It's exactly what there will be. Loads of hiding places, because there'll be only little pockets that you won't be able to see out of. But I'd like to have a go. He's in very good form, and there actually isn't a lot else. There's no 3-miler there. So Donny the Great, I'd like to go, but I really don't think Aintree will be his track. So he'll probably wait for Punchestown. And we've got Jericho in here. East India Express, who's been very consistent all year. And he deserves to try it 3 miles, I think, which will help him.
And let's talk about the Grand National itself, a race that I know you'd love to win. It's well chronicled that you've tried and you got near. You got near the first time in '79. Zongalero came second, and I hate to say it, but I think it's 40 runners since, and that's the closest you've got. You've got some runners this year.
Zarovich was second as well.
Zarovich second, classified, ran well.
Yeah, lots of them have run
Brown
well.
Windsor, fourth as favourite.
Yeah, a lot of them ran well. Do you know Mr. Coffey gave us a thrill 2 years ago?
And he's not going to be running this year, though, is he?
No. He's been doing cross country this year. He's loved it.
And we've got Fantastic Lady we've spoken about the possibility of, and good old Chantry House. Would he be running?
Yes, he will. And I'm rather looking forward to it, actually. It was always in the back of our mind. He definitely came back to himself this year. He found his old sparkle. His schooling's always been good, and then he won his first start at Cheltenham, and he was fourth, I think, in the Cotswold Chase. And he's loved it. When we built our Aintree fences, we went up to Cheltenham last week, he just thought that was fun. So he liked that. The only one thing he doesn't like, and he's a bit shy, and the trouble is there are going to be 33 others that want to do the same as him, and he hates other people being around him. So we're going to have to chart a very, I don't know, depends who's, I mean, the riding arrangements aren't sure yet because we don't know whether Hyland or whatever might get in as well. But Chantry House it should be. Chantry House, it's where Gilly Cooper lives, and it's named after her house. I don't think it was, but I've told Gilly it is. It definitely is, Gilly. Yeah, why not? He'll have I think he's got a, look, we all know you could get, he's not the obvious horse in the race by a million years. And he's certainly not the worst. And you just could get one of those sort of Aintree funny ones. Who knows?
He's a sort of horse that
you're not in, you can't win.
Yeah, he's a sort of horse you can see running into a place.
He could do, yeah.
We should speak about Hyland, who needs to get in yet, but on the betting, this would be your number one shot at the moment. Obviously, a horse that's a little bit less experienced than the others, which can be a positive in this race. And he has run really well this season. He's been fantastic all year. And we've been creeping along. He's won his first couple at Cheltenham, and then he ran a terrific race in the Grade 1 on Boxing Day. And you know, that was a good sound performance. And then we were sort of umming and ahhing a bit, and I threw the Grand National idea into the hat. He's had his 6 runs, which are the minimum requirement to run in this race. He is a novice. He's quite young. Mind you, all his owners and the trainer are getting quite old too. And having sort of rather said, I don't know, it's crossing my mind. And then everybody suddenly loved the idea. Here and amongst the owners said, okay, well, if everybody's game for it, I am. Let's go there. So we cut out Cheltenham and went to the good handicap at Kempton the weekend 10 days before Cheltenham, which has always been a top-class race. And to be fair, the ground went totally against him. He has to have good ground. In a very unlikelihood of this coming up soft, he wouldn't run. But it was soft at Kempton. He got stuck in the ruck that day. Normally he's a front runner or right up in the van. And that was soft, and he got way out of it. But what I loved was, despite the ground, his jumping was just as good as ever, and then he came rattling through the field at the end. Stamina kicked in, and he was off and away. And I think he can jump, he's got stamina, he's a very amenable horse. I mean, if we have to wait till next year, fine. But I mean, on the other hand, I just think he's ready for it, and we're ready for it. It would be exciting to go there. He's got the right kind of profile for a Grand National winner these days, doesn't he? And a different kind of profile to maybe some of the other horses you've run in the race. In terms of he's lightly raced, but he's a high grade horse.
Yeah, I mean, he's grade 1 placed, and I mean, he's off a novice handicap as well. So, you know, they probably have them. I wouldn't think he'd be running off this rating next year, unless we make a mess of everything next year and devalue him. But no, he's just a very kind, lovely horse, but good ground is essential. And his jumping is his weapon.